It is Tego and Tracy Venturi with the Venturi Group of Real Broker here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, with another episode of Albuquerque Real Estate Talk, number 450, Tracy.
Wow, 450 on the Kiva, 1600 AM for 9 years, Tego?
Yeah,
or
I
more?
think it must be more than that, but
Yeah.
doesn't matter. We enjoy doing it. We love being here talking about real estate in Albuquerque, and there's as always, there's a lot going on. We've got some new stats on May home sales in Albuquerque, and no surprises, I think, between you and I, but there is some interesting data there for sure that some people may be surprised about.
I don't know. Our listeners are pretty sophisticated when it comes to Albuquerque real estate.
Yeah.
They know our stats. They know that we're giving them the right information.
So there's been a lot of news about cash sales. We're going to talk about that. There are some great homes that we have in the pipeline we want to talk about, as well as some metro area stats that the Economic Development Group area put out. So we'll get into that here in a minute, Tracy. So first off, there was, let's do this story about the market didn't crash after all.
Yeah. So, Tego, you put out a story, oops, the market didn't crash. Our loyal listeners know that we have been saying for the last few years that the market is not going to crash, that all of the indications and the stability of the loans that have been done over the last 10 years, the amount of equity people have in homes, that it did not indicate a crash, that there were not a lot of foreclosures going to be coming through. People have equity, that, we've said it all along, but
yeah.
Now the market is realizing, or the smart people of the world are realizing.
Well, I don't know if they're realizing it. It's just that they were wrong, and so many of them, calling the housing crash. So, what happened when interest rates spiked up last year? So we started the beginning of the year last year, say 3-ish, mid 3%, right? And all the way through up until May, June, they spiked up, got up over 6%. And at one point we were over 7%. And right now we've been hovering around 7% now for quite a while. And when that happened, a lot of these, big economists and people that are looking at the big picture stuff called, some issues. Do you have those quotes, Tracy, on that? I had to turn off my computer. So the thing that's interesting is, they're looking at the national data. And as we always say, real estate is local. It's very different from one market to another. It can even be very different from, one part of town to another part of town. And so you have to take all of those things into consideration instead of just looking at the big picture. But there were people calling for a 10% price correction.
During the fourth quarter of last year, many housing experts predicted home prices were going to crash this year. Jeremy Siegel, Professor Emeritus of the Wharton School of Business, very highly regarded school.
See him on CNBC all the time.
I expect housing prices to fall 10 to 15%, and the housing prices are accelerating on the downside. That's what he said in the fourth quarter of 2022.
And you know what? He was right. They were.
On the down.
They were going down,
slightly.
Nationally, slightly. Yes.
But they've recovered.
Some markets more than slightly.
Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics, he said, buckle in, assuming rates remain near their current 6.5% and the economy skirts recession, then national house prices will fall almost 10% peak to trough. Trough, what a word. Yeah. Most of those declines will happen sooner rather than later, and house prices will fall 20% if there's a typical recession. Now, this is the chief economist for Moody's Analytics. And it's funny to me because he's saying, assuming rates remain near, he's making his big statement with some disclaimers in it. But anyway, he's wrong. Goldman Sachs, they said housing is already cooling in the U.S. According to July data that was reported last week, as interest rates climb steadily higher, Goldman Sachs Research's G10 home price model suggests home prices will decline by 5 to 10% from the peak in the U.S. That was in bold. Economists at Goldman Sachs Research say there are risks that housing markets could decline more than the model suggests.
So what's happened now, and these are national, these are looking at national data, looking at the Case-Shiller home index. And the truth is, from midsummer last year through winter, home prices did pull back, uh, but they didn't pull back 10%. Maybe in some markets, but not nationally, by far. And there's going to be a lot of people that might be listening to what we're saying and going, "Well, you just wait, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming." But I still go back to this whole idea: we have very low supply, we still have demand. People need places to live. There's more people that want to own homes than there are available to purchase. There's homeowners have really, really good balance sheets. They have a lot of equity. They've got solid loans, and there's a lot of people that have, sub 4% mortgages. A really large percentage of people have really low mortgages, which equates to a very low housing cost comparative to all the other stuff that's gone up in price. People that locked in a 30-year fixed rate mortgage in,
Last spring.
pre, you know, April of last year are sitting really good, and nobody's, motivated to sell their home. Even if their home price were to drop, are they just going to sell it? Oh my gosh, my home price dropped, I better sell it. That doesn't work that way, but some of these economists think that way for some reason. I'm not sure why. So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't need to beat that up anymore, but I just,
Well,
there's definitely still a group of people out there that are always going to see the doom and always going to call the doom. And I get that, and that's, that works, but for some people, because it gets clicks and all that good stuff.
that's what I was going to say. It creates, a lot of concern among the world when these news stories go out, right? Obviously, the people who listen to our show, thank you for listening. They've been hearing from us what a stable market it is, and that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. So just to back that up then, so Albuquerque, back to Albuquerque. We're talking about Albuquerque real estate. And I just did a report. This is Tego Venturi. So you can find it on my Facebook group or my Facebook page, Tego Venturi, Tego. You can find it on our YouTube page, which is Venturi Group on YouTube. And if you do find it, please subscribe and give us a like. It just kind of helps us put our message out. But I did about a 8 or 9 minute video that goes through all the May data, really breaks it down, and then I really get granular in breaking down some of the sales trends for new construction versus resale homes, and there's some very distinct differences there that I point out.
Right.
The big headline though is home prices May 2023 in Albuquerque.
Do we need a drum roll?
Drum roll. No. All-time high. And that's, it's great for homeowners. It's not so great for home buyers.
Right.
It's all-time high prices. Median price is $351,000 for a single family detached home. Average price is $392,000. So, home prices have gone up. The thing we weren't sure about is May of last year, 2022, was the previous all-time high.
Right.
And from that point through January, home prices kind of pulled back a little bit, kind of flattened out. But then starting in January, they've just been going up again. And I wasn't sure if we were going to, make a year over year price gain because we had that big high last May. Well, we ended up about 3% higher than last year in both median price per square foot, all these measurements that we look at for prices in Albuquerque. The other big takeaway on the housing market in Albuquerque is the number of sales down substantially, 25% on resale homes. However, new construction home, the number of sales is up.
Up substantially.
17%, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going off the
I
top
was
of my
thinking
head.
it was like 25%.
Since my battery on my
something.
computer it just died, I can't do it. So I'm going off the top of my head. But
I think it was in the 20s, mid 20s,
Yeah.
actually, that the prices. But
And then the other thing, I think, the main thing is people want to know is the price of my home going up, and how long would it take to sell if I sell it? Days on market for May, the median days on market was 5 days across all property types. If you look at just resale properties, it was 4 days. It means 50% of the homes that went on the market that sold in May sold within 4 days, right?
As in had an accepted contract.
Had an accepted contract.
To go to that sale.
Yeah, and average days was, I don't know, 21 days. I think it's interesting, though, if you look at it like the change from year over year, it's like this huge difference because last year was this, crazy unicorn housing market, right? Like, it was the rainbow unicorn year.
Even less than 4 days.
It was like 3 days, I think, in May of last year, what, median days. So,
yep.
As we always say, good prices or good homes priced to the market in desirable locations are selling fast.
Right. So, I don't know how many people need to go watch your YouTube video now. I think you gave us a really good summary. So let's talk about the other story out there about all the cash buyers.
Yeah.
So the headline was national, right? 1/3 of U.S. home buyers are paying in cash, the highest share in nearly a decade, according to Redfin News.
Where did you see that story? I'm just curious.
Redfin News.
Oh, you saw it on Redfin. Okay. Yeah. Or was it one Redfin, or I was just curious if it was like CNBC or some national group picked up that story. But Redfin put the story. I mean, it was Redfin data.
It says published by Dana Anderson.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
But it said that cash is 1/3 of the home buyers right now. And so I thought, Tego, that's not Albuquerque, right? I mean, we're not seeing that. We're not seeing houses get a ton of cash offers. And cash doesn't always win out. Getting a great real estate agent in your corner that knows how to negotiate for you and have your offer accepted with a loan. Sometimes we beat out cash, right? Cash doesn't always win. But our stats are very different from national.
Yeah, very, very different. And I broke it down. You did as well.
I know.
I'm so proud of you. You actually did some data analysis. I did
some stats of my own when I saw that story. Yeah. And I know do you want to go first?
Well, I just wanted to say this. Across the board, there was a point in the middle of the pandemic where we were seeing about 19% of all homes in Albuquerque sell for cash. That was when it was this frenzy and people was super competitive.
And we were seeing a few, it wasn't overwhelming like the news, but a few people from out of area bringing cash from their other states where they were selling houses where they had a lot of equity.
The thing is, we're still seeing that.
Yeah, but it wasn't this mad rush of Californians buying up our properties.
Oh, no, that was
another story.
That was an urban legend. It always has been, and so far always. I don't know.
Anyway, so
what I found though, you would think, okay, well, interest rates more than doubled in a year. So wow, that's going to bring out the cash buyers. Well, it's actually the number of cash buyers has decreased in our market. So the latest data I saw, I just looked at the first half of this year, or the first 5 months, I guess, that we're through. 16% is what I came up with. Were cash sales, purchased with cash. That's across all property types, and it was. I was actually a little surprised by that. I kind of thought it would be higher because of the high mortgage rates, and people that have cash are saying, well, I'm not going to pay 7%. I'm just going to pay cash.
So can I add to that? Because I did some stats too.
Please.
I was like going to impress you that I actually went and did some stats. You're the statomatic.
Hey, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Call me impressed.
So let me tell you what I found.
Okay.
So I found that from the first of the year through now, closed sales that are detached single family properties. So we're taking out manufactured homes, we're taking out condos, townhomes. 14.5% of those were purchased with cash. So even a lower number than the 16 you just said.
Interesting.
So detached homes. So what I found though, when I went back a whole year, manufactured homes, 31% in our market.
That makes a lot more sense.
Were sold using cash. And that's because a lot of manufactured homes don't qualify for some reason. They're either too old, single wide, there isn't a proper foundation, a permanent foundation. They don't have the proper HUD tags or whatever the lending requirements are, because there are a lot of requirements for a loan on a manufactured home.
Can we just go down that just a little bit?
Sure.
I don't want to go too far in this, but if you're thinking of purchasing a manufactured home or selling a manufactured home, please talk to somebody that understands the ins and outs of buying and selling a manufactured home, because it's not like other properties, especially if there's going to be a loan involved. So it's important you get good advice on that. And you
Absolutely.
can call us.
Totally.
We're the Venturi Group at Real Broker, 505-448-8888. I figured I'd just throw that in there since we're
it's good.
midway through the show here.
Yeah, we love being on the Kiva. It's a great place because it keeps us up to date on stats, right, Tego? We
Sure
got to
does.
keep up on them. So let me throw one other thing
Yeah.
out there. So I separated when I did my stats by manufactured, by attached properties, and by detached properties. So attached would be condos, townhomes. In the past year, not just year to date, there was 1,059. Cash was 260. So a higher percentage than detached homes. And then, like I said, a manufactured home was the highest. So one of the things that's interesting is when I looked year to date for a detached home, it was higher than it is right now. So last year there were a few more cash purchases going on than now. But anyways, point of that is national headlines are not local.
Yeah, no, that is the point. One other thing I just wanted to point out when we're talking about, how properties are financed, right now, this year, about 60%, almost 2/3, are conventional loans. So conventional loan, just kind of break it down. These are ones that are usually Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, kind of a standard loan, versus an FHA loan, which is a special program, low down payment, special qualifying. It's a special program. The thing that's interesting, back in 2010, 2011, when the housing market had gotten really weird and loan standards had gotten really tight, it was flip-flop. Most of the loans were FHA loans. Now it's more conventional loans. I think part of that is the types of conventional loan products. And if you're a mortgage lender out there and I'm getting this wrong, text me and make sure I got this right. But that conventional loans, there's been more
expansion of what's available. I would say
exactly.
They have, a 3% down, a 5%, a 10% down. People think of conventional loans as only 20% down to buy a house. And no, so you don't have to go to FHA to get a 3.5% down. You can go to a conventional with 3%. Of course, there's all sorts of guidelines and what makes it qualify. So out of our league, but just mentioning it.
I wanted to talk about creative financing a little bit because right now, only about 1.5% of all the homes sold so far this year are creative financing. When I talk about creative financing, I mean lease purchase or lease option, kind of the same thing. Real estate contract or
owner
seller financing.
Yeah.
It's so funny. We have multiple terms for kind of the same thing. And then the other one, which is exchange, meaning there's some sort of trade involved. You're swapping one piece of property for another piece of property or portion of one property. And we can really go deep on that if we want, but we're not going to go there. But it's only about 1.5%, which is kind of interesting.
It's funny because I actually did the stats on that when I was looking for cash.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's just do a conventional loan, right? It's closed with a conventional loan detached or just detached properties. Of the 9,755 that closed since last year, 27 were USDA loans, which seems really low to me. It's a really good no down payment, no down loan, right?
The thing is, though, and let's just talk about that. So USDA loan is a rural program for rural areas. So most of Bernalillo County does not qualify.
But a lot of Sandoval, Valencia, and they do.
Some of Sandoval, not Rio Rancho. Some of Sandoval, most.
Anyway, let me get back to my
I'm sorry,
story
most of
here.
Valencia. Yes.
9,755 detached sales in the last year. 27 USDA, 801 VA. I wish that was higher. Our vets deserve to use those great loans. Cash was 1,530, so that's 15.6%. Conventional, 5,998. I know I could have just said 6,000, but it was two less than.
Yeah. I appreciate the preciseness.
So 6,000 of the 10,000 were conventional. So I bet you can do that percentage in your head. FHA was 1,264. Assumed loan was 1.
Interesting.
Lease option was 1.
That's one more than I would expect.
Trade was 2, and real estate contract was 131. So I think some of them sold, probably didn't market as a trade, probably didn't get closed out that way, because we know there's been more. We've got a very active group of the New Mexico Council of Exchangers doing creative deals.
Those are my people.
As a past president of the New Mexico Council of Exchangers. So it was kind of interesting that conventional was, 60%, pretty much. Anyway. Okay, so let's talk about some homes. Can we switch gears?
Yes, we can. And then
houses?
I want to get to this Albuquerque economic development, also known as area report.
Okay, so a couple properties that are available to know about. We have a really interesting one at 550 Fruta Road in Rio Rancho, and it's not fruit like you'd spell fruit, but Fruta if you're going to look it up. There are 2 properties next door, 2.5 acres each. One has a manufactured home on it that's all updated, exceptionally cute, on 2.5 acres with horse facilities backing to the arroyo. So you're in a great spot. It's $299,500. This weekend's the first availability to view that property.
Speaking of manufactured homes, that is a really, really nice
manufactured home.
Manufactured
and
home.
It's older. It's like 1974, but the owner has done every upgrade you can imagine beautifully. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and horse facilities. So great location. So Fruta Road is right next to Rio Rancho High School. So it's right near High Resort and Broadmoor. So very, very central, close-in location to get 2.5 acres with the ability to have animals. And next door is another 2.5 acre lot for sale also for $155,000. So together you could have a 5-acre estate right there at High Resort and Broadmoor, right in the heart of Rio Rancho.
And it's AR zoned, which is, or RA, I don't remember, but that's agricultural residential for the Rio Rancho for their zoning, which is similar to A1 in like Bernalillo County or Albuquerque. So basically it's residential agricultural where you can have animals and all that good stuff.
So if you're watching this before Saturday, it's open house from 4 to 6 on Friday. Otherwise, call us to make an appointment to see that property as soon as you can, because it's a really sweet one. We're at 448-8888. We also have another one, 8736 Abierto Vista Circle Northwest, and it's $585,000. And this is a beautiful Pulte home in the Montecito West neighborhood. Up by the petroglyphs, just a few years old. It's a really great floor plan. I love it. I looked through it. It's 3,700 square feet. It's technically a 4-bedroom, but it could be 6 if somebody wanted to put different doors on. It's got a room on the main floor that's kind of double doors, could be an office or den. And then upstairs, there's a great big playroom that you could make a bedroom. If you really needed 6 bedrooms, it's possible. It's just a great property with the 3-car garage, Montecito West. I would highly suggest checking it out if you're looking for something like that. So those are 2 that we have. Others,
what about the luxury property in Riverfront?
Right.
Yeah.
So Riverfront Estates, we have a property on Candace with a K, Candace. Kandace. So Candace, it's $1,150,000, new on the market. We're slated to have an open house on Sunday from 1 to 3. That's unless it sells. We've already had a couple of really good showings on that property and some indication that maybe there'll be somebody wanting to put an offer in on that. But otherwise, Sunday 1 to 3, let us know if you're planning to go and just call us to make sure it's still open on Sunday. It's a 4,600, almost 4,700 square foot home, 2-story. It's got a bedroom on the main floor with a bathroom, the master's up, but it also has an attached casita that has a living space with a kitchenette, bathroom, and then the bedroom. And that one of the most exciting features of this property, besides being horse property right at Paseo and Coors, is it has space for at least 7 cars. So it's got a 3-car garage. And then when the casita was added onto the house, they added on a very large garage with a high ceiling that could easily hold 4 cars. So,
it's a double deep,
right?
2
tandem,
wide, double deep, tandem garage.
So 7-car garage is what we've got it called.
Well,
And
and that, that property, we were talking about the accessory dwelling units and the additional, casita, as we call them here in New Mexico, on
right.
your property, for the multi-generational setup, right? The very common now where, elderly folks are moving in with their kids,
Or
or the other way around, or whatever it is,
lots of
or
reasons
lots of reasons.
why people
Um,
are living in multi-generational homes.
But this home is, I mean, perfect, perfect for that, because it does have that whole separate attached, uh, basically casita,
Right. It's
that where somebody can have their own space but still be on the same property.
right. It's a gorgeous home. So if
It
you're
really,
looking
it's
for
a
something like that, Riverfront
really,
Estates is right down next to the river. Go
mhm,
figure. Across from Target on Coors by Paseo. So
just
it's
north of
really
Paseo.
quick
Yeah,
to get places. If you need to go down to I-40 or you need to get to I-25, you're right by Paseo. It's a quick jump on. I would say it's 2 stoplights and you're on Paseo. So it's a great location. We also have 1512 Lucille Place, which is also a river down by the river property at Alameda and the Rio Grande. So that one is 725,000. It's a acre and a quarter about, with a nice home that's all updated, very ranch style, beautiful home. So we've got a lot of others in the works. If you're looking for something specific, just give us a call, drop us a line, send us a text, whatever, and we can see if we can't help you out.
that's awesome. Well, yeah, and we have seen an increase overall in the market and the number of homes on the market here in the last week or so. Just, I think part of it is that whole, okay, we got through, graduation, school's out, taking that quick vacation, and now they're going, okay, either got to get it sold, or so we have seen a little bit of an increase in the number of homes in the market, over the last week. So we'll kind of see how that plays out, this year, with the inventory situation, which is still very, very low.
So, city council, Tego, we really haven't talked about that yet.
Oh yeah, I want to talk about this area. Let me just say this real quick, because I teased it. I don't want to lose it. But the, area, which is the Albuquerque Regional Economic Alliance, used to be AED. They just put out a really great report. I mean, it's really a
We'll have to
marketing
talk
piece.
about
Yeah,
it next
we
week or
will.
something. There's a lot of good stuff in
Yeah, a
there.
lot of good information. I mean, obviously, it's a marketing piece for our area, but it really highlights, we do live in a special place, and they did a really good job kind of pointing that out, some of the affordability issues, or the affordability, how we stack up very well, against a lot of the other markets in the area. But yeah, let's just talk about this thing. There's a proposal, planning and zoning change for the city of Albuquerque. So it's the city of Albuquerque proper, not the county, not in anything else. City of Albuquerque proper, and there's kind of, I think, basically three components. There might be more, but the big ones are: one is allowing some sort of accessory dwelling unit on your property, a casita, basically. There's, it's got to be setbacks, and it can only be so big, and all this, and anything that's zoned R1, and that's one piece of it. Another piece of it is allowing duplexes on R1 zoned properties. And the third piece of it is, allowing for redevelopment of, motels, hotels into residential. So this is all part of the city of Albuquerque Housing Forward initiative that the Mayor Keller's been, working on, and recognizing that we are short housing units in the, Albuquerque area. Anyway, it went through city council. It was a marathon meeting. I wasn't there live, but I did watch it on recording, and there was, I don't know, a bunch of people doing public comment. The thing was interesting. I felt like most people were there commenting for it, not against it. So it's interesting to see where it go. The short the short of this is, though, the city council has postponed it for now, or at least they're gonna relook at it at the next meeting. They just basically ran out of time.
It got too late for sure.
Yeah,
It's a big thing to consider. So they need to take their time with it for
it is a
sure.
big thing to consider, where, basically saying, hey, I bought this property, it was R1, and now you're going to change, what I can do with it, more so what my neighbor can do with it, right?
Right.
That's obviously the pushback on it.
Yeah, and the motel hotel thing is something that we might have thought that they could convert it easily into residential property, right? But that's a big process to do that, the whole posting and variance and changing zoning. It's a big process. So for the city to change that for motels. I mean, there's a lot of motels around Albuquerque that could be great properties for people to own as homes, right? If they could convert them easily. So that part of it seems like a really good idea.
It's interesting, and again, the casita bill is an interesting idea, and there's a lot of a lot of people that are. It's interesting because that particular thing, most of the big organizations that usually are fighting against each other are kind of behind it.
Right.
Right. And it's kind of brought together kind of these conflicting groups that usually are fighting against each other, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
And I think, the reality of it is, are you going to spend $100,000 to put, additional dwelling on your property? And because that's, in
Right.
reality, that's probably what it's going to cost.
It doesn't mean everyone in Albuquerque is going to have another home on their property, right? Because
Right.
it's cost prohibitive also.
It is.
But
It is. Yeah.
anyway, we've got so much to talk about.
It's an interesting conversation. And I wanted to just bring it out there because that's one of the big housing things that's out there. And that's what we talk about is housing in Albuquerque, real estate in Albuquerque. And we are Tego and Tracy Venturi with the Venturi Group of Real Broker. And Tracy, how do people get a hold of us?
The easiest is to just call us 448-8888 or text us 448-8888 or welcomehomeabq.com. We'd love to hear from you.